Hello Cricut buddies, Jeff here from Cricut Maker Craft. In today's video, we're diving deep into all things iron-on, aka HTV, aka heat transfer vinyl. I'll be covering literally everything you need to know about creating your very first iron-on project. We'll be covering what iron-on vinyl really is, the tools needed for working with iron-on, two of my favorite iron-on brands, how to cut iron-on vinyl the right way, how to weed iron-on vinyl, how to make sure your iron-on design is straight, and how to ensure your iron-on design doesn't come off after washing. Plus, I'll be sharing my super secret tips for creating the perfect iron-on project every single time. Lastly, you can also get this super cool free SVG from my VIP library that I created especially for this project. Let's begin. So let's start with the basics first and get to know the iron-on vinyl. So iron-on vinyl, or HTV, or heat transfer vinyl, is a special vinyl that only sticks to the surface when heat is applied, unlike the adhesive vinyl. This vinyl is mainly used to make custom tees at home with a magical cutting machine like the Cricut, and if applied correctly, HTV can last forever through hundreds of washes. HTV can be applied to literally any surface that can take up heat. So wool, cardstock, wood, HTV can be applied to all of these surfaces, and I'll do a separate video about each of these surfaces. That's my upcoming video. So HTV comes in many different varieties. The top one here is the regular Easyweed by Caesar. There's nothing fancy about it, just that it's super easy to work with. And if you're just starting out your first project, this is the vinyl you should start with. This or either the Everyday Iron-On Vinyl by Cricut. So next I have the sparkly and of course everyone's favorite, the glitter HTV. Here I have the foil HTV, and also I have a roll of a holographic HTV. And here's another type of HTV. It's the Sport Flex. It's specially designed for stretchy materials like leggings. And lastly, we have the Everyday Iron-On by Cricut. It's the regular iron-on, just like the Easyweed by Caesar. So each of these different types of vinyl have different uses and different setting requirements for application. If you'd like a written handy document to remember everything about all of these different types of vinyl, do check out my brand new vinyl guide. It has literally everything you need to know about working with vinyl. It's currently available at 70% off until July 20th, so grab it before the offer is gone. Now, let me show you the difference between the adhesive vinyl and the HTV. So here I have a roll of adhesive glitter HTV. Let me unroll it and show you the inside. So the major difference between the HTV and the adhesive is their backing. The adhesive vinyl has a paper-like backing, whereas the iron-on vinyl has a transparent backing. So some adhesive vinyl will have grid lines on them like this one by Cricut. It also has this label which says it's a removable adhesive vinyl. And here's my HTV. Let me place the two together so you can easily differentiate between the two. Now, when you're working with HTV, you always place it shiny side down. So as you can see, we have this reflective shiny surface, which is basically the carrier sheet. So this side is what goes down on the mat. let me grab the glitter vinyl as it's much easier to tell the two sides apart using this. On this glitter HTV, you can easily see the difference. So this is the shiny side. You can see it's super reflective. It's bouncing off light. And the back side, this is pretty dull. So when you're placing your HTV for cutting on the mat, you'll place this side facing down. So it's a shiny side goes down. It's pretty confusing when you're just starting out. It's really easy to make mistakes. You get confused which is the right side, which is the wrong side. So we're gonna go over all of this in this video. All right, so let's look at the tools you need to work with iron on vinyl. So as mentioned earlier, you need a heat source for applying the iron on vinyl. There are a couple of different heating options available. You can either use a heat press or the Cricut Easy Press or the Cricut Easy Press Mini, or just a regular home iron, but definitely not a crafting iron like this. You'll also need a towel or an easy press mat for working with this vinyl. Another extremely important stuff is the parchment paper or the iron-on protective sheet or the Teflon sheet. So this acts as a protection. It prevents your vinyl from sticking to your iron. It prevents the fabric from overheating. And lastly, it helps in preventing those pesky carrier sheet marks as well. So I also use this quilter scale for marking the points for the placement of the designs with the help of a chalk or a disappearing marker like this one. And lastly, the most important thing when working with any type of vinyl is the hook reader tool for reading out the vinyl. You can also use a tweezer for this purpose. And if you're wondering what blade to use, all vinyl is cut using the fine point blade. And I keep a separate blade just for vinyl as paper makes the blade dull. So keep that in mind. And one more thing that's extremely important is the lint roller to get rid of all the lint on the fabric. Now it's time to dive right into the project. So first, let's see how to prepare your design in Design Space. I'll be using a text-based graphic and this coat of arms graphic for this project. If you would like to grab this coat of arms graphic, you can sign up for the VIP library by clicking on the link below this video. So here are the instructions on how to download this graphic from the VIP library. So to download the free SVG file, first of all, go to cricutmakercrafts.com and then click on free SVGs, enter your name and email address and just click on count me in. Then check your inbox for this email. Inside the email, you'll find the link for the free VIP library. Just click on the link and you'll end up over here. From here, download the file that you need to work with. It's gonna get saved on your computer. So go to your download section and the file is gonna look like something like this. Just right click and click on extract here. So this is a zipped file. It's either going to look like this or this. So just click on extract and you'll see all of these images. And the image that you need to work with is this one, which will have this browser icon. Don't open the image right away. Go to Design Space, then click on Upload, followed by Browse, and then select this image that you need to work with. And this goes for all images, all SVG images that are available via Cricut Maker Crafts. So just click on this image and so once you're ready with your decal, open up Design Space, click on New Project, and you'll end up on the canvas. So let's first create a simple text-based decal. I'm just going to write my blog name here, Cricut Maker Crafts. So just a heads up, my blog is not affiliated with the official Cricut. I just named it after I purchased my Cricut maker. So a lot of people get confused with this. So now the biggest question here is what should be the size of this decal? So there are two different ways to find out what size your decal should be. So to find out the correct size of the decal to use, you can either refer to this handy dandy vinyl guide that I created, where I've listed down the ideal decal sizes for all the different materials out there. So I'll be working with a small size top, and it says here the decal size should be 9" by 9". Another way to figure out the size is by using the templates provided in the Cricut design space. A lot of people don't know about this, so pay close attention. Now, one thing to keep in mind is these templates are only available for the desktop version of Design Space. You won't find them on the iPad or the iPhone. In that case, you can just refer to the vinyl guide. So I'm going to select the hoodie from here, and I'll be placing the decal at the back side of this hoodie. Now let's resize this decal. You can also play around by placing the decal on different parts of the hoodie, like here on the sleeve. For now, let's place it back to where it was. Okay, so it's time for the tip number 2. Always add a weeding box around your decals, and that's for 2 reasons. First of all, it helps in the weeding, and secondly, it helps in the correct placement of the decal. So you can use the edges of the carrier sheet to mark the placement on your fabric so that it comes out straight. I'll show you what these mean when we're on the weeding and the application steps. Tip number 3 is to always attach the weeding box to your text so that it gets cut together. You don't want it to be on 2 separate mats. You want it together, like one on top of the other. Now let's add the decal here. I'll be using this decal on the T. So let's look for the T template from the templates library. Now let's place the decal inside and adjust the size. So one cool thing I wanted to show here is if you don't like this text inside the decal, you can always change it by first ungrouping this whole image. Then click on the text option to add your text. And lastly, add a little curve to your text using the curve option, and you'll have a custom decal. So I'm just going to place this text back on the banner. So once you're happy with the placement, don't forget to select all and attach. So once again, a weeding box around this as well. select all and click attach. Now send this to the mat, and once you're on the mat, this is what you should have. Weeding box behind the text instead of two separate mats like I mentioned earlier. And over here, don't forget the most important thing, which is mirroring the image. This is extremely important when working with HTV because HTV is cut out with the carrier sheet facing down. You'll get a better idea when we move to the cutting and weeding part. Now let's select our material. So I'm going to cut this decal from the Cricut foil iron-on. So I'm going to select that from the list here. And as you can see, the moment you select iron, a reminder message pops up telling you to mirror your designs. So this is an extremely important step. Never ever forget it. However, if you're using your iPad, you can follow these steps. So open up Design Space on your iPad and click on New Project. Click on the text option to add some text here. I'm just going to reduce the distance, the spacing between each of these letters by going to Edit, followed by letter spacing. All right, so that looks much better. Now I'm going to resize it just large enough to fit at the back of the T. So like we saw earlier, the perfect size for decals for small tees is 9" by 9". So I'm just gonna reduce the size of this to 9" as well. Now I'm gonna add a weeding box behind this text by going to the shapes option and picking out the square. All right, so this looks perfect. I'm just going to attach everything by going to Actions and clicking on Attach. Now, you might have noticed that there are the letters are not merged together. Like if I cut it now, each of these letters are going to come out separately because the letters are not merged. So I'm just going to detach it and select the text and click on Weld, and now you can see that the letters are flowing into each other. There are no lines between them. Now it's going to be cut out as just one whole text. Now if you want to work with the decal, you can first download it following this tutorial. To download the decal, sign up for the VIP library on my blog, cricutmakercrafts.com, and you'll receive an email. Open up the email in your inbox, and inside the email, you'll find the link for the VIP library. Click on the link to go to the library, and then click on the three dots at the corner, at the bottom right corner of the decal, and tap on Open In. So you'll see two different options here, Save to Files and Open in iZip. So click on Save to Files and then save the decal on one of your folders on your iPad. So once you have your decal, you can go to the library and click on Browse Files to upload the file and save it on your library. So here we have the decal. Now you can add the weeding box behind it. Don't forget to select both and click on attach. And there you go. It's now ready to be cut. Now I'm going to send this to my mat and click on mirror to mirror this and get this thing cut. And I'll be using the foil iron on for the decal. All right, now let's cut everything out. First, I'll be cutting out this holographic vinyl. So let's unroll this. I usually hate when this happens. And if you're using a paper, if you unroll it in an opposite direction, it usually flattens out. But this vinyl is pretty stubborn. So instead, what I like to do is tape it down on the mat using a washi tape or a sticky tape just on the edge of the vinyl so that it doesn't interfere with the cut. And once again, you must have noticed I'm placing the vinyl shiny side down. All right, now let's load this mat inside. Okay, so all the cutting is done. I'm just gonna cut off this weeding box from here. Now I'm gonna place the foil iron on and cut out the decal. Okay, so looks like all the cutting is done, and now I'm gonna cut out the glitter vinyl using my iPad. So this is exactly how we want it. We don't want anything sticking behind on the mat. The liner, the carrier sheet, and the vinyl should both be cut together like this, and then when you peel it off, when we're reading, you'll see that the vinyl will come off from these the places where it's been cut. So this is how we want things to come out. And if by any chance your vinyl is still stuck to your mat, that means the settings were not correct and you need to do it again. So all the things should be cut together and should stay intact until you start reading. So this glitter vinyl is from Caesar and needs to be cut at everyday iron-on setting. Once again, I'm placing the glittery side down as you can see here. Lastly, I'm going to cut out this everyday iron-on vinyl from Cricut just to show you guys all the different results that you can get from all of these different vinyls. So now's the time for tip number 4. To make sure that your vinyl is properly cut without unloading the mat, just take your weeder tool and lift some of the vinyl from the edge of the weeding box. If it comes off, it means the cutting was perfect and you can unload the mat. If it doesn't come off, then you need to cut it out again. Okay, so now it's time to move to the weeding step. Now, as you might have noticed, it's nearly impossible to see the cut lines right now. So the secret around this is to sprinkle some cocoa or chocolate powder at the back of the vinyl. So I'm using this old chocolate I got from with cappuccino, and as you can see, after sprinkling the cocoa, the lines are much more prominent and easier to weed. One thing to remember over here is to always start weeding the cavities first. So this will save you from getting sticky fingers by touching the carrier sheets every now and then. Always remove the largest part of the vinyl at the end. Okay, so let's keep this aside and weed the other decals. I'm weeding towards the center, as you can see, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't twist the carrier sheet. So the transparent thing over here is the carrier sheet, and I don't want to ruin it or get wrinkles in it, because if it has wrinkles, it's gonna create issues when we are transferring the design onto our tee. So try not to get any wrinkles. Okay, so the inside is weeded, and I just love how this looks. Can't wait to get it on my tee. Now let's get rid of this huge weeding box. So I could have just taken the scissors and cut it all around, but that's not how we want it, because when you have this solid, properly cut out shape, it will be easier to position this design onto the tee. You can just measure along these guidelines. You can create guidelines and stick this and align this with the guidelines to make sure that your design goes on straight. So weed the outside portions in the end so that your fingers don't get sticky. You can get this free SVG by going to my website cricutmakercrafts.com and signing up for the VIP library. You'll find this in the VIP library, and make sure that there are no pieces remaining on the side. So there was this thin vinyl stuck to the side. It can get onto the shirt and ruin the design, so get rid of any small pieces. And to keep your design clean and to prevent it from getting And to prevent any dust particles from collecting on your design, what you can do is take any clear plastic sheet and place your design on top like this, so the glue will be protected until you're ready to apply it. So I'm going to keep this aside, and let's weed these as well. So I'm just going to insert the weeder tool at the corner. Since this one is pretty thick, it's easier to weed this. And I'm just going to pull it towards the center to weed it out. So if the design comes off, just hold down using your weed tool. So I forgot to weed out these parts from inside the R. I'm just going to pull it out like this. So tweezers really help when you're doing this. Since these parts are pretty big, I can just pick them up using my hands. But if you have a tweezer, that'll help a lot. Okay, so this is done as well. I'm gonna stick it on this sheet. Now let's cut this out first, this rectangle, so that we can easily place it onto, so that we can easily position it on our T. And use the carrier sheet as a guide for the placement. Alright, so all the cutting is done. Now I'm just gonna get rid of this entire vinyl, starting from the corner and just pulling it towards the center. So when you're starting out, it's best to try out a very simple project first instead of going for something difficult. Especially do not go for glitter vinyl. It's pretty difficult to handle if you're working with adhesive glitter vinyl. And also start with a simple project without any layering, because layering is a completely different level and you have to keep a lot of different things in mind when you're doing a layering project. I'm gonna make a separate video all about layering, so stay tuned for that, because there are a lot of things that you need to consider, a lot of rules that you need to follow when it comes to layering. Alright, so that is all done. Let's stick it here And the last one over here is this one, the holographic vinyl. So let's read this as well. I can see the lines, they're pretty obvious. It might not be visible in the camera, but it's visible to my eyes. Always start reading the cavities first and foremost. Alright, so all the weeding is done. I'm just gonna pull out the last layer. Okay, so I'm in. Now I'm gonna let it go out the entire. Okay, so all the weeding is done. This is our holographic vinyl. So start with a holographic or a... So start with a simple project if you're working with for the first time with iron on vinyl. Start with something which is easy to cut. For example, a quote with the big graphics like these, rather than going for something with very detailed stuff. Now we are gonna apply all of these vinyl onto our tees. Now to apply the vinyl onto the shirt, we would need the Easy Press, or you can use a heat press, or you can use your normal iron that you have at home. I don't recommend using a craft iron like this, but I will be using it in today's tutorial because honestly speaking, we don't own an iron. Yep, it's funny, it's gonna be, it might sound really unreal, but yep, we don't own an iron because we use the steamer, and yep, we barely need an iron. So we just have this craft iron that I used for my bag making, and I'm just going to use this one today, but I do not recommend using this because it does not have proper temperature settings and stuff, and I'm not even sure if it goes to 400 degrees like the other irons. So let's get started. I did do one project with this, and it took me probably half an hour to get all the vinyl to stick onto the tee. That is why I do not recommend this one. And that's one reason I got the Cricut Easy Press. I got the small one because I don't do a lot of these projects, and this one works great for me. And I also have the smaller one, the mini Easy Press, and both of them have different settings. So for this one, you can set exact temperature and time, whereas for this one, you can only set 3 different temperatures, like low, medium, and high, and you would need a timer separately on your phone, or probably a timer clock that you can use to time you have your press on your project. So we're gonna use both the Easy Press, actually 3 things today: the Easy Press, the iron, the stupid iron, and the mini Easy Press that we have here. So let's get started. I will do a different video on how to work with Easy Press in detail and which one to buy. For now, I'm just gonna go over real quick how to use this thing. So first I am gonna mark the area where I'm gonna place my designs. So this is my tee, it's black in color and I've washed it like a dozen times. So it's already washed. Now, there are a lot of things you need to keep in mind to ensure that your project turns out perfect. So let's look at those things. So you need to keep in mind what material you're using. What's your base material made of? Is it polyester? Is it cotton? Is it 100% cotton? Or is it faux leather? So because each of these materials require different pressure, different temperature, and different time, as well as different peel. Yep, that's also one thing that you need to keep in mind. So some of these vinyls over here are cool peel. That means you need to wait for it to cool down and only then you can peel it off. Whereas some of them require warm peel. That means you can peel it while it's warm. So you need to keep all of these things in mind when you are working on iron-on projects. Only then it will come out perfectly fine and it will withstand all the different washes. So I've created this vinyl guide. It's the Ultimate Lifesaver Vinyl Guide for beginners, and it comes with literally every single thing you need to know about working with vinyl. So here's the table of contents, and there are like around 90 pages in this guide, and you will find every single thing you need to know about working with vinyl. All you gotta do is find the vinyl that you're working with in this table of contents, go to the page, and just follow the settings that are given here. But one thing you need to keep in mind is that these settings are just an estimate because all the fabrics differ. They have different fiber types and due to different manufacturing quality and all that. So you need to keep in mind that these settings are still just a guide, and if you're selling something, make sure that you test it out on your own, wash it a dozen times to see if the thing withstands the washing or not. Alright, so let's get started. So you can get this guide from my website. I've placed a link down below. It is a 90-page guide. I just have a couple of pages here because I wasn't able to put all of them inside this clear plastic bag. And it's in landscape, so you can just get a bunch of these, one pack of these clear plastic, or you can just go to the copy shop and get it binded or whatever is easier for you. This works great for me inside this super cool black and gold file, and this is how I keep it. And it has saved so much time because all I gotta do is just look at the contents here and flip, and I'll have all my settings given over here. I can just look at them and start sticking my vinyl to my tee. And you also have this section for tips where you get all these guidelines, whether you need to pre-wash it or how many times you get, or how long you have to wait for before the next wash after application. So all of these things are given in this guide. All you gotta do, it saves up so much time and hassle because you have everything over here. And whenever you are working or you want to refer back, you can just open it up and go through it. Super easy, super convenient. So I'll be using this one today. Now before we start, let's mark our tee for the placement of our vinyl. And I will be using my quilter's So I have my quilter's scale, quilter's ruler, whatever, with me, and I'm gonna use this to create a square or rectangle to mark. So first of all, I'm gonna create a crease by folding this T in half from vertically and horizontally. So when you're starting out, this might take a couple of tries to get it perfect. So we have a very thin line here. I can just use a chalk to mark this. All right, now let's fold it horizontally and press it. We have a very thin line here. I'm just gonna, okay. Now I can place my quilter square to mark my placement. Okay, so the center is aligned here, and this is the top, and this is the bottom. Okay, so we have our marks here. I'm gonna do the same for the back. For the back, I will be using just this one. So I am just gonna place, directly gonna measure it from here. Keep my ruler here. And you can also use a T-square, which is pretty handy as well. So somewhere around this portion would be good. So I'm just gonna draw a straight line. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. So let's start with the back first. And you're also gonna need, this Easy Press mat. It's not recommended to use the mat. It's not recommended to work without the mat if you're using the Easy Press Mini. However, if you're using an iron, or the Cricut Easy Press, you can use a towel as well. So I will be using this Cricut Easy Press mat. It's pretty inexpensive, so you can get, if you don't have the funds to get the Easy Press, just get the Easy Press mat and it'll be super helpful. So let's place this mat over here. And I'm gonna switch on my Cricut Easy Press. And I am working with the Caesar glitter vinyl. So this glitter vinyl is by Caesar. And let's look at our vinyl guide and find out what temperature we need for this particular. So let's look in the guide and find out what temperature we need for this Caesar glitter vinyl. So it says over here 320 degrees for heat press, and if you're using an iron, your dial should be between cotton and linen. So let's set our dial. So let's set our heat press to 160. So I'm gonna just press on here and 160 degrees. And it says 15 seconds. So I already have the time here, 15 seconds, as you can see over here. So I'm gonna wait till this light turns green, and that's it. So first it says to preheat. I'm gonna start off by creating a crease line once again because we didn't do it for the back. Next step is to remove all the stuff, any stuff that's stuck on the T using a lint roller to make sure we have a clear and smooth surface to work on. Okay, so there are lots of stuff that came off. All right, Now I'm gonna preheat the surface for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's fold this thing in half and create a center crease so that we can match the 2 center creases and place our vinyl on top like this. And I'm just placing it on top of the line I drew using my chalk so that everything is straight. All right, now we need our parchment paper or craft paper. This is extremely important. Place it on top and followed by your iron or easy press. And I'm gonna start the timer. The timer and everything makes it really easy to apply iron on with the easy press. This is one reason I invested in this. And directions say to apply pressure because this is glitter vinyl. So one side is done. Let's move to the other side. Start the timer and apply firm pressure. All right, all done. Let's remove this. The peel type is warm, so you see how difficult it is to remember all of this. That is why I created this amazing guide to just refer to while you're working and create projects that last forever. Let's peel this off. And you can see it's already stuck. How cool is that? Okay, so that is done. Let's try the second one. Let's do the coat of arms. So this is gonna go here. This is the center. Let's create a center crease first. So my easy press mat is pretty small. Couldn't find the bigger one in Spotlight here in Australia. So I'm using the really small one. This is the smallest size available. Okay, so my center crease is here, and let's refer back to our guide and see what temperature settings we need for this foil iron on. So this is express, and there you go, there's foil, and we are working with cotton poly blend. It says 295 degrees Fahrenheit and 145 degrees centigrade, and firm pressure 30 seconds and cool peel. All right, so let's set our temperature to 145 degrees. Oops. 145, and our timer to 30 seconds. All right. So it's gonna cool down because the temperature was 160. Now it's cooling down, and once it's done, the light is gonna turn green. So this is super handy. If you want to create a lot of projects, it's best to invest in this. But if you're just making an iron-on project once in a blue moon, probably just one tea at a time, then you probably don't need. You can work with an iron and be done. But if you make a lot of iron-on projects, then you definitely need to invest in an easy press. If you have a business, especially if you have a business. And you need this guide so that you can refer to it whenever you need to. So over here it says to pre-wash without fabric softener, and flip, preheat for 5 seconds, flip and press for 15 seconds. So this is a really good way This is a really good reminder on what to do with each of these different vinyl, because they all have different requirements and stuff. So while this is getting heated, I am just gonna remove all the lint. All right, so there was that beep sound telling us that our press is ready. And let's preheat this area for 5 seconds. All right, so I'm gonna place my vinyl over here, matching the center crease with the center of the vinyl. And there you go. You can also use a heat resistant tape to tape this, but you don't really need it because this carrier sheet is kind of sticky and it stays put when you place it onto your fabric. Okay, so I have aligned the carrier sheet edges to the marks that I placed earlier using my chalk. And I hope this is perfectly straight. Now I'm going to place my craft paper on top and press it. So it says firm pressure. Let's start this and apply some firm pressure onto this thing. So make sure that your project is below your waist so that you can easily apply pressure using your entire upper body. Okay, so that's the first part. I'm gonna move this thing up a bit. So you need to make sure that your project is on a flat surface, completely flat surface, or else it's not gonna stick properly. Oops, I forgot to turn on the temperature timer. And I bought the smallest size because the largest size was very heavy for me when I tried it out, because my wrists are pretty weak, and lifting the heaviest one, the largest one, was so much difficult. Not as handy as the small one. And it says it's a cool peel, so we gotta wait for it to cool down. Now for the cooling, what you can do is take some a cooling block. I'm gonna use this candle because it's pretty cool, pretty cold. It's around 5 degrees here in Australia, so this candle is pretty cold, and I'm gonna use this for cooling off my vinyl. You can also stick your vinyl project to the wall and cool it off. You can get one of the cooling blocks as well. So wait for it to cool off and then you can peel it off. I just love this coat of arms. I think I'll stick one on my wall as well. So you guys can get this from the free VIP library. Still a bit warm, so I'm gonna wait for a few more seconds before I peel this off. It requires a lot of patience because you just want to get rid of it and see how this thing looks. You gotta wait for it to cool down. All right, I love how this looks. And since this is a foil iron-on, it looks so good on the black tee. Colors are really popping. How cool is that? So it says flip and press, so I'm gonna turn it inside out and then press both the sides because we stuck vinyl on both the sides. And if you want to prevent your design from going to the opposite side, you can always place this paper inside. That's a protective layer. preventing your designs from smudging or mixing up. Gonna press it for 15 seconds. So our goal is to make sure that the design sticks properly and merges with the fibers of the fabric. Only then it's gonna withstand the washes. And that's one thing to keep in mind when you're layering the vinyl. So we gotta remove as much bulk as possible. Gotta make the vinyl breathable and flow with the fabric. And if you heat it up too much, then the vinyl shrinks as well. So you gotta keep the balance over here. Okay, so all the pressing is done. Let's remove this and check out our, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this. Cricut Craft Love. Don't you guys love this thing? All right, so that's how you do, how you add the iron on using the Easy Press. I'm gonna switch this off because we're gonna move to the mini Easy Press Mini and see how this works, and then we'll switch to the iron. So now I'm using the Cricut Everyday Iron On. It's this one, the neon pink, and I'm gonna apply it on the sleeve this time. And I'll be using the Easy Press Mini. Let's move this out of the view. So this is our guide that we'll be working with now. And once again, I'm going to refer back to my guide. And the best thing about this guide is you can get it on iPad, you can have it on your iPad, or you can have it printed. So now I'm using the one on my iPad, and over here it says, and over here for cotton poly blend, you need medium heat, and you need light pressure in 25 seconds, and you gotta peel it warm. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna set this to medium, and let's remove the lint from here. All right, now we're gonna place this on top so that it's centered. So our heat press is ready for pressing. Place my parchment paper on top, and we have to, since this is pretty small, we have to keep on moving it around. So I'm going to just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So that's one part. Then there's the second part. So Easy Press Mini is great for small projects, or when you're applying really tiny vinyl on tiny spots like shoes or baby shoes, stuff like that. It's not good for these long or big projects because, as you can see, I have to keep on moving it around. I have to do each part one at a time, and it takes a lot of time because of that. Plus there's no timer over here, which is also a problem. So I don't know how long I'm heating it because I'm also talking while I'm heating it. So I'm assuming it's been 25 seconds. So I think I accidentally added a lot of pressure. So one way to tell that your design has really stuck properly is when your design starts taking the shape of the fiber. So I did this project earlier. I added this cake onto this bag, and as you can see, it seems like over here for this part the vinyl has taken the shape of the fibers. So this means that it will not come off. And I did this using my awesome Easy Press. And I love the results with this. I can guarantee that this will not come off even after like a million washes. So that's how you can tell if your vinyl has stuck properly or not. Alright, so now we're gonna apply the vinyl. So now we're gonna apply the decal onto this hoodie, and this time I'll be using this stupid iron to do the job. So I already have my crease here, and I've added a line to act as a guide. And let's fold this into a half to create creases. Just slightly press it if it's not going to have any effect on the vinyl, and just align the center crease and stick it down. So we are using holographic vinyl, and we need to, let's refer back to our vinyl guide, and let's see, holographic poly blend, and we need to heat it for 30 seconds with firm pressure, and this is a cool peel. So let's do this 30 seconds with pressure, and it's a cool peel, so we gotta wait for it to cool down before we can peel it off. And I'll be using my iron, so I'll be going first on this side and then on the other side, and I'll be counting manually because I don't have a stopwatch here. You can use a stopwatch, or you can use your phone to record the time. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so that was 30 seconds on this side, now 30 seconds on the other side. Make sure that you're not overlapping because you don't want to overheat the vinyl. Alright, let's check it out. I think I missed this tiny portion here. Let's do this once more. Alright, now let's see. So this is I think I overheated it. It's kind of melted. Let's wait for it to cool down. So this is the reason I hate using the iron, because it's always a trial and error. So my hands are pretty cold, so I'm cooling it off using my hands. Okay, that's pretty cold now, so let's feel it. So there are some parts which did not stick properly. It's kind of coming off from there. Like this eye over here. So it says flip and press for 15 seconds. So let's do that. And it depends on the vinyl. So you're not supposed to do flip and press for every fabric or every vinyl. It depends on the vinyl, so be sure to check the description. That's why we have the vinyl guide, so we can refer to it every single time. And most of the Cricut vinyl has this requirement to flip and press, but for the Caesar vinyl, you don't have to do it unless you're using the Brick 300 or Brick 900. I forgot the name. We can double check. So now I'm just gonna press it from the back for 15 seconds. And be sure not to overheat it, because then the adhesive liquefies and it evaporates, or it forms an outline around your vinyl. So just follow the directions exactly, like the time and the temperature and the pressure, and it should be fine. And if something is not compatible, try to avoid it because it has already been tested by the company and they know which vinyl which will work with which fabric and how long it's gonna last, stuff like that. Like I mentioned earlier, the trick to know that your vinyl has stuck properly or not is by looking at the structure of the vinyl. If it takes up the shape of the fiber, that means it has properly adhered to the surface, which you can see over here. And this is the one which was done by the company, and you can see that it's perfectly merged with the fabric, and you can see the pattern of the fibers on the vinyl, as you can see over here. So this is a great way to tell if your vinyl is properly stuck or not. So let's have a final look at all the different types of vinyl that we worked with today. So this is what the foil iron looks like, and probably this is my most favorite vinyl to work with. Just love the glossy metallic look. And then at the back we had the glitter vinyl by Caesar, and you can see what this one looks like. It has a rough texture, it's very glittery. That's why it's not recommended to layer on top of this glitter. If however you can find a special type of glitter vinyl which is smooth, then you can use that for layering. There is one company which provides smooth glitter vinyl, which is heat transfer vinyls. That's their name on Instagram, so you can check them out if you want glitter vinyl that you want to layer. So this was our glitter vinyl, and on the sleeves we used the Everyday Iron On by Cricut. It's just a plain iron on here, and this can be layered up to 4 layers, and we're going to talk about layering more in the other video, so let's not get into that. So yep, and this was our holographic iron on, and it's pretty light, as you can see. I'm not sure how it would have come on a darker fabric or on a lighter fabric, but on this fabric you can barely see it. Like it's like very subtle on this one. So yep, those were the different types of vinyl we worked with, and here is my test tote on which I tried several different layers and styles of vinyl. So we've got the Everyday Iron On here, and all of these are by Caesar. This is the Easyweed, and then there's the glitter iron on. So yep, that's what iron on looks like, and that's how you apply iron on vinyl onto your fabric. So I hope you found this helpful. Don't forget to get this guide. It's available at 70% off for a very limited time. So go ahead and purchase this guide. There are 90 pages. I don't have all my pages here right now, but there are in total 90 pages, and it's going to be super helpful for you if you're just starting out with vinyl. All right, that's all for today. All right, with that we have reached the end of today's tutorial. Hope you girls and guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel for a chance to win a Cricut Maker bundle when I hit 10K. I'll now see you in the next video. Bye bye.